All right, Calvin Tillman here with you, having a little fireside chat with Jace Yarbrough. Jace ran for Texas Senate, Senate District 30 in 2024. Made a really good run, made some really good progress against the establishment and the swamp. And so, Jace, why don't you introduce yourself to the folks? Tell us a little bit about running for office and your experience with that.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me, Mr. Tillman. I really appreciate it. Um, I'm a seventh generation Texan. I grew up in tiny towns in the western part of the state and up in the Panhandle. I'm from a blue collar family and went to college down in Austin. Studied at UT, got degrees in engineering and government, and then was in the military. Served active duty Air Force. Got out, went to law school out on the West Coast at Stanford, and then came back to Texas to practice and raise our family. I married my high school sweetheart. We got 5 kids, and it was a good period of life practicing law in the private sector. Always had a sense of vocational call to the political world, so I stayed involved and tried to contribute where I was able as schedule allowed. So served as a precinct chair and would canvass my neighborhood and do various things. But when the opportunity came up and the need popped up to run last cycle, we prayed about it, and we never got the sense that the Lord was telling us we had to go do it. But He did communicate with us in a way we could understand and said, "Look, this is the kind of thing that I've called you and your family to, and so if you decide to do it, I'll be with you." And I think the momentum that we built and the relationships and network that we built and the way we were able to inspire and come alongside a lot of people that were already doing a lot of good work is a testament to the fact that he did bless it, and it was a work that we're grateful to have been a part of. And um, we were confirmed, sort of in the sense that we had that, yeah, this is the kind of thing that God's called us to do.
Well, awesome. And I have worked a lot of campaigns over the years and been intimately involved with campaigns. I have never seen a candidate go through the just complete frivolous, vicious attacks that you went through. Um, and so I don't know if you want to comment on that at all.
Well, yeah. Well, it, it was the most difficult thing I've ever done. I'll say that. There were a lot of folks who did come after us, and the number of frivolous, ridiculous, off the wall, totally fabricated criticisms and attacks were um, uh, they were never ending. It seemed like we were also a little taken aback by some of the people who didn't get behind us, didn't come out and support us. So that's true. But let me say unequivocally that there are already too many divisions in the Texas GOP. I don't want to be a part of unnecessary division. So I'm not holding grudges. I'm ready to work with anybody and everybody moving forward that wants to pass good conservative legislation and get good policy for our state. And I'm interested in doing that with people who want to be effective now, who want to make sure that the policies that we as conservatives know are best for our neighbors get through our legislature. They're signed into law. They're enforced by our enforcement authorities up and down the sort of political hierarchy. And so that's my goal. Um, the other thing I'll say is that um, you don't get a lot of chances in your life to take on, in some senses, take on the world. I mean, people may know. I mean, President Trump got involved in our race. Ben Carson got involved in our race, and neither of them endorsed me. So, you know, those are some of the biggest names in national and even world politics. Um, it was a good cause. It was a race that needed to be ran. Somebody needed to do it. We had a chance. We had a small chance. It wasn't. We weren't just tilting at windmills. And so it was a privilege in some ways, as odd as that sounds, to run a race sort of against all odds and against all comers. And there were many days where it was a lot of fun.
Well, I think you're being a little humble because I thought you'd run a very good race and you made it to the runoff with, you know, and you were going up against a monumental amount of money. So, first of all, I thank you um, for putting yourself out there like that and going through that. But you did a great job. You're certainly an inspiration to a lot of us. So we really appreciate that. Now, you mentioned getting conservative legislation passed. What are you doing now to help do that?
Well, yesterday I was down. I was down testifying. The Sunset Commission was hearing. They were hearing, among other things, the Texas Ethics Commission is its sunset term is coming to a close, and they've got some decisions to make and some recommendations to make to the 89th. One of the ways that grassroots and less funded candidates like me are at a disadvantage is that the TEC's current process is Byzantine, arduous, difficult to understand. Those kind of processes always benefit people that are well funded because you can hire the expertise and practitioners to do the work that needs to be done in that space for you. So in my case, a number of complaints, I would call them frivolous complaints, were filed against me based on some de minimis reporting differences that I had in my TEC filings. Now, I had no familiarity with the TEC before I ran. Uh, my team told me, hey, this is a requirement, you got to do this. So I did my best in the heat of a campaign as a first-time candidate to get up to speed on, okay, well, what do I need to do? What are my obligations? And then made a good faith effort, and it did, I think, a pretty decent job of filing those reports. But nevertheless, my opponent was able to fund some folks to scrutinize those and then file complaints against me, which cost more kind of time and resources to be bound up, right? So, and that's the point of it. That's how it gets used a lot. That's not news to anybody that's run a race before, that the TEC can become a weapon that's used by one side against the other. And so I was down there saying, hey, I think this needs to change. Um, I think our laws should be set up to encourage less funded and grassroots candidates, not discourage them. Um, I've made some comments about some things going on in Texas. I mean, this isn't a specific issue. I think this is more a structural issue, which is obviously there's a huge fight going on right now for the Speaker of the Texas House. I think that Republicans for the past couple decades have been way too willing to unilaterally disarm and to give power away as a way to try and, to put it most charitably, to try and curry favor and demonstrate goodwill with the other side in the hopes that that will be reciprocated. And it never is. And for, 20 plus years now, the Democrats have proven that they don't reciprocate and they're not interested in reciprocation. And so I think that the thing that needs to happen is that Republicans, when we win elections, we need to use the power that we're given from those elections to pass the policies that we ran on. And as a party, we stand for any number of conservative policies, from closing the border to ensuring that our schools are places where conservative Christian values are, at least allowed, if not encouraged. And certainly, some of the more radical ideologies that are being pushed by the left are not permitted and not allowed, much less encouraged. There's issues of property taxes, and we can go down the list, but at the end of the day, the structural fight that's going on right now in the Texas House is important because if you know if David Cook wins, it'll be a resounding rebuttal of the approach that has been dominant in the Republican Party for a while, which again says, yeah, we need to sort of play nice with the other side, kind of a fool's errand. So anyway, that's just a couple of things that I have on my mind. There are other things that I've been asked to get involved with. I think I'm probably going to be a part of the SREC, the State Republican Executive Committees. They have a subcommittee, I understand, on border enforcement and security, and I've been asked if I'd participate in that and said I was willing to do that. So I haven't got an official word as to whether that's going to happen or not. But as opportunities and needs arise, I do what I can as I'm able, given all the other obligations that I have.
So your state representative is Jared Patterson,
That's correct.
and he was one of the 26 that got up and left the caucus vote. You have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I publicly I said publicly that I was disappointed to see that from Representative Patterson, and got a lot of engagement from that public statement. And obviously, with the governor and lieutenant governor coming out within the past 24 hours, both affirming that for the good order and effectiveness of the party, the caucus needs to abide by its rules, and Republicans need to pick their nominee amongst themselves. And once that decision is made, once that process plays out, everybody gets behind the nominee that the Republicans pick. If we permit the practice that has been, since Joe Strauss and in the late aughts, if we permit the practice of, permitting speaker candidates, Republican speaker candidates, from going to Democrats, they will always have to make political concessions to get those votes. They'll always have to agree to give left of center politicians power in order to curry favor with them, which means that on the whole, if Republicans are the ones who select a speaker, that speaker is going to be more conservative than if Republicans and Democrats together do it. And so I'm very much disappointed in Representative Patterson. Have been public about that, based on statements he's continued to make even up to a couple of hours ago, at least on Twitter. I don't think he's going to change. It sounds like he's committed to what I would say is going down with the ship. I think this is the wrong stance to take for anyone who calls himself a conservative who's interested in making sure that the legacy that we establish and then ultimately leave to our children is the most conservative legacy possible. I don't think this is the way forward. I disagree with him very much.
So what's next for Jace?
Well, as I said, we were confirmed in the campaign that this is the arena we need to be in, arena we need to be fighting. Now, my efforts, sort of in the culture wars, if you want to call them that, aren't necessarily just limited to politics. So I'm a partner at a little law firm. My partner and I do we do good work representing conservatives and conservative causes in the courts. So we're plaintiff side, so we tend to be on the offense, bringing suits, bringing cases. That's one area that I think conservatives have a lot of ground to make up, is actually going on the offense. So really proud of the work that we're doing and the cases we're bringing, the kind of people that we're representing, and want to keep doing that. Doing what we can to build that out and to encourage other conservative legal talents to kind of come on board and come off the sidelines to get engaged in those fights. Have a little school that we founded 3 years ago, a little classical Christian academy, and my wife and others sort of handle the day-to-day operations of that, but I still have some duties associated with that I'm very much committed to. Our 5 children attend, as well as about 30 other kids in North Texas, so that's important to us. And then I've got some clandestine political projects that we're working on, and hopefully the fruits of those will be apparent in the next 3 to 6 months, and those matter too. I think there's so much to do, as you know, somebody who's very much involved, so much to do, and it takes all hands. But and people have approached me. They've asked me, are you going to run again? What are you going to do? And I say, I think the campaign is proof that one of the services that I can offer to the conservative movement is as a candidate, is sort of as a gladiator in the arena, and I enjoyed many parts of it. I'm looking forward to do it again, but I don't have a specific office in mind, and I think there are a couple of things we'll need to see play out before any firm decisions are made. But I'm here and I'm available, and grateful to have other people that I can come alongside and sort of fight with and be of service to. So.
Well, great. Well, we're looking forward to see what happens next. So if folks want to find out more about you or reach out to you, how can they do that?
Yeah, well, so I'm on X, Jace Yarbrough, at Jace Yarbrough, just my name, no spaces, no dots, no anything. And then I've told people, if you have my phone number and somebody asks for it, please give it to them. I don't keep that close to the chest. So right before we got on this call, somebody called me asking about a sort of legislative procedural question, and I'm happy to be as generous as I can be with what I know, and the tricks of the trade I've kind of picked up based on my practice and experience. Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your time. I know you're busy. You got a lot going on here, but I appreciate it. I know the folks out there are going to appreciate it. So thanks, everyone. Again, this is the Fireside Chat with Jace Yarbrough. So thank you all very much, and don't forget to hit subscribe and give us a follow. So thank you all very much. Have a great day. God bless you, and God bless Texas.